Ebro, Rosenberg show.
A lot of people out here need a mental health eval, especially after this weekend where we go full war with Iran, huh?
Full bore war.
That's where we're at now. I think people said this was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Before people voted for him. People said that this was what he was going to try to do. People told everyone that Israel would have complete control over him. And now Israel's being bombed. Dubai was, I saw some videos.
Dubai caught some.
Somebody caught on fire.
Yeah.
No,
missiles are going to Dubai.
Dubai got hit with something. Qatar got hit with something.
Yeah.
Multiple places are getting hit with things falling out, either, I guess, from attacks on bases or just things being intercepted in the sky.
I have one of my old interns. I still follow her on Instagram. She is stuck in Dubai right now. She's scared, and she's been kind of documenting everything she sees. She's just stuck. She's like, there's no flights. I'm stuck here. She's a flight attendant, by the way.
Wow. And when could that end? If the war doesn't end, when is Dubai going to say, when will they know the airspace is safe?
I don't know, but it's very scary.
Although I'm starting to I keep going in different directions on the whole United States, Israel, Iran thing in terms of where I point exactly what it's at. Is it that Israel owns Trump and can do whatever they want?
Yes.
Or no, is it? Or is it that Israel just is the United States?
Yes.
So it's not, that's the thing, because the other version of, here's why I point out the distinction. The other version of it, to me, it's always the Jews are the scapegoat. So if we say Israel controls the United States, to me that's also can be easily part of another picture of because the Jews run everything.
But aren't we fighting against that narrative that all Jews are aligned with Israel? Isn't that a thing?
We're trying our best. I'm
right
just
here
saying,
on this show. On this show.
No, on this show.
So let's just act like that's not the same thing. You gotta do the work.
That you're actually
you know what I mean?
Smart enough to know that not the same thing. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I also do think we keep acting as if Israel is ever going to do something. In this stage, are they really going to act without the United States, or is it really they're all the same thing? Bibi can pressure him like their friend, like he's in the cabinet.
They've definitely recently acted without the United States.
They did make the first attack was pretty rogue, right?
Yeah, but also
the Qatar attack,
right? They've done that. That's happened. So yes.
So in one sense,
and that's why I say yes to both.
Right. They do whatever they want.
Yes.
They kind of can bitch them around.
Yes.
But they also mostly are just doing it with the United States' backing, weapons, all this stuff.
And not only that, but even if the United States acts like they're hands off, I think in some regard the United States is like, yeah, go do that because we can't do that.
Yeah,
which is the whole point of the agreement anyway.
That goes back to that, though. That really it's just an outpost for the United States in Israel. And I saw a post, a conversation earlier. Don't forget, the Christian Zionist movement is in scale, I believe, donations, etc., bigger than the entire Jewish population of the world.
Yeah.
There are more Christians who are like, we need to make sure that the Jews have Israel and Israel is safe. There are more Christians saying that than Jews.
Well, you can't just say Christians anymore either.
No, of course not.
You have to say right-wing Christian nationalists.
Yeah.
You got to say the whole thing. Sycophants for the end of the world, for the Jesus' return, like literal sycophants.
The full right-wing crazy, living their life under the Jesus is coming home.
And by the way, it's our job to make it happen.
Not that you can't have a belief in your heart of something that Jesus is coming back, but once you start dictating policy around the book, we've got a problem.
Well, no. And starting war on behalf of the book. That's what this is all. That's a part of this. So the Iran thing, if you're wondering, and so some people are talking about the oil, right? Iran's oil and Venezuela's oil have a relationship. Do you guys all know about this?
Remind us.
Apparently, Venezuela's oil is so heavy crude that to pump it and move it, they need something in Iran's oil to do it, and that's what the relationship was all about.
Yeah, Ricardo was telling me that too.
You mean this would explain why even though Trump said that the nuclear capabilities had been taken out in Iran already, now that the Venezuela thing has happened, that's why all of a sudden we have to go back to Iran.
Yeah, whatever lie they told. Netanyahu's been acting like Iran's going to have nuclear missiles in tomorrow since 1987 or so.
So let me ask you this, though.
Yeah.
That piece related to the oil too, or is that just related to Netanyahu's crazy vision of like domination, expanding
so that's
in the Middle
second
East?
piece. So now this is where we all start to work in concert. What are your interests? What are my interests? Oh, maybe this works together.
Yeah, I don't like Iran. I want them out. I want freedom to do whatever I want in the Middle East. We've made friends with a lot of the other Muslim countries.
Remember, you got to remember, America is only interested if there's money to be made. That goes all the way back to World War II.
I thought that they were doing this because they wanted to free the people.
No, because if they wanted to free the people, then they would be doing this a lot of places. There has to be a financial interest, right? Like, because remember, don't ever forget how President Trump allowed the Taliban back in control of Afghanistan. Remember, they wrote him a note, a love letter, and that whole thing.
I remember
and
the
he
letter.
was like, "Hey, you guys can have Afghanistan back." Afghanistan is still in shambles.
Yes.
So it's not about the people, guys.
No.
There's just nothing in Afghanistan that we want right now.
What was flooding my timeline all of a sudden was just like, obviously, look, I know people who live in Iran who are happy, right? Celebrating finally that they feel like this is going to be an answer to like over 40 years of, the craziness they were living under, right? There's this video that I saw. I don't know if it came across your timeline, but it's like an Iranian person with a MAGA hat saying, I don't understand. This is not about left or right. Why can't you guys see that we're finally free? Right? Why would Democrats be against this? I'm like, well, because they didn't want them bombing schools. Did you see the all-girls schools that was bombed? All those children that were innocent children that were killed. Yo, seeing those images of those bloody backpacks will send you somewhere else.
I didn't see those images.
And not only that, but Mohammed Mossadegh, how did you pronounce his name? He was the duly elected president or leader of Iran. After 2 years, this was during Nixon, after 2 years, we ousted him. And we put in the Shah.
Mm-hmm.
The reason the government in Iran is the way it is today is because of the United States of America.
But this is always how it is.
And so the Shah was in there, so the Muslim population, the kind of conservative Muslim population of Iran, and leftists in Iran were so upset with how the Shah and how corrupt the Shah was running Iran that they exiled the Shah and put in this current type of government because they thought that the Shah had lost his values, his religious values. He was too aligned with the West, et cetera, et cetera. Iran's been trying to have their own thing for a long time. Now, did they elect some bad people or some bad people took advantage of them and it's been horrible for the last, I don't know, however many decades? Absolutely, according to what we know. Mm-hmm. But guess what? This happens.
But here.
That was the next line.
and in Israel.
Yes.
So that's the problem is that when people point out, and this is fair, and people are asking this in earnest.
Yeah.
But isn't he bad? Isn't the Ayatollah bad? This guy's bad, right? Yes. But so are all the other players involved. Yes. And for right now, the idea of celebrating, obviously I couldn't tell someone from Iran what to feel, but from my perspective, they're immediately going to have someone who's the same or worse who's there.
Well, Trump
celebrating
just tweeted,
like it's better.
Trump was just talking to press yesterday, and they were talking about how they basically killed the potential first, the Ayatollah, the second in charge, the third in charge. All these people are apparently dead. And Trump was basically like, yeah, who we thought was going to be the second is dead, and who we thought was going to be the third in line is also dead. So he's basically like, let's see how this works out. But in the meantime, they're going to be trying to get in there and get this oil.
Now, obviously, the fear that I have, and I'm trying to get make sure my wife doesn't, because she did 2 nights ago, spend her nights doom scrolling and going to very dark places.
Right.
Is that what I guess gives me the most agita at this moment personally for our loved ones and ourselves, just being selfishly, is if they attack, if someone decides they're really going to make an impact, they would probably do it through terrorist means. That's probably what they would do. It could be in Israel. It could be in the United States. It could be at a base somewhere, right? And we know they've already killed Americans with strikes, but I'm saying some sort of terrible terrorist attack. If, God forbid, that were to happen, then where are we going? Where are we going from there? If God forbid,
always go. We go to full-scale war.
Then we go to full-scale war. But this full-scale war, is not Colin Powell, and is not other people who were also men of war, who are not heroes.
Those were the headlines yesterday. You saw those?
No.
Those news stories where people were like, all of the responsible individuals that worked in the Defense Department have been fired. Who's in there making these decisions?
So it's going to be Pete Hegseth who's deciding. It is going to be a joke of a human being, not only like an inexperienced person, but a seemingly unkind, kind of violent-leaning person.
You guys remember the whole leaks on the Signal chat? Remember that?
Of course we
that
do.
whole leak with the
Yes.
journalist Signal chat thing?
Yes.
So I didn't send the video over, but there's a video of what's the guy from TMZ, Harvey
Levin?
Harvey Levin, having a conversation with a journalist who's in D.C. at Joe's Crab. And the journalist decides to jump on with Harvey Levin from a restaurant. Harvey's like, why are you at a restaurant? He was like, well, I was going to run somewhere else and do this, but I was listening to an interesting conversation. And Harvey's like, what conversation are you hearing? He was like, yeah, I think we're going to, this Iran thing's going to happen today. Because he was sitting in a booth next to people who work.
Oh, my God.
And he was on TMZ.
At Joe's Crab Shack.
At Joe's Crab in D.C.
Look how loose this is.
Listening to a conversation next to him about what's about to happen in Iran. About 10 hours before it happened.
If you want top secret, go to Joe's Crab.
Guys, the moment of Saturday was so brutal. So for everybody. But I woke up to a text from my dad that I think I could see. I can't really see that well when I wake up in the morning, particularly. And I look at I just see it says, I think it said, Yep War or Welp War. This is me waking up in Chicago. On October 7th, 2023, I woke up in Indianapolis, Saturday morning. Same thing, right? I'm like, oh my God. Within hours of that, my brother hits me and says, did you hear that Coleman McCarthy died? Coleman McCarthy was my peace studies teacher from high school.
Aww.
But to say he was a teacher is like a massive understatement. He was this incredible man who chose to teach peace with his time after being a journalist and a Trappist monk and a scratch golfer who played 2 PGA Tour events and a guy who interviewed Mother Teresa and Desmond Tutu.
Most interesting man in the world.
Bro, I didn't even realize until reading his obituaries this weekend. I didn't remember the monk part, that he spent 5 years as a monk. He stopped by a monastery and decided to stay for 5 years.
Wow.
And then essentially like couldn't deal with the not talking and doing stuff. It was like, they said to him, like, you should probably, if you're desperate to go to town and read the newspaper, this isn't the right place for you. So that was
5 years.
That was like in the early 60s. And then he ends up becoming a journalist and getting to write, but he became a sports writer at first. But as the story he always tells is, he kept asking, when did the Dodgers leave Brooklyn? And people were like, this isn't suited for you either. So he just became this, incredible voice for peace everywhere he went.
Yeah.
He the Washington Post in 1969, where he started, and he ended up in my high school in 1982 saying, I'd like to teach a class for peace. They were like, well, we don't do that. We don't have money for that. He's like, I just want to do it. And then he spent the rest of his life till he passed away last week at 87, teaching over 15,000 students. When I tell you this man was of principle, like there's no line in which he breaks when it comes to violence. None. So there's not an animal product that he wears. There's not an issue in which... So when I went to his class, there's always like a few conservative kids who would go to class like, I'm gonna get him. My parents been telling me about this Coleman McCarthy, and when I get to his stupid peace studies class, I'm gonna let him know what time it is. And these were like some of his favorite kids. Like he loved this because he wanted all of it. Like he wanted all of it, and so often, I'm not saying he would turn all of those kids into like peaceniks, but he would change the way they saw the world for sure. And they would always come in, what about this situation? What about that situation? And it was always the same. Even in uncomfortable situations, abortion, anti-abortion, did not believe the government had the right to be involved in abortion choices, but believed that people should learn all the alternatives to abortion. And he taught us how to walk out of class. He leads walkouts every year. He's always outside with the kids, pissing off all the other teachers because he's got all these seniors outside. Maybe the most impactful thing he did in my class, and he did this many times, was when you got to the death penalty part. He brought in a woman whose daughter had been murdered by a drug addict.
Oh gosh.
They had like let a drug addict stay in their house essentially.
Yeah.
And the drug addict ended up murdering. No, I may be confusing stories. Either way, her daughter was brutally murdered by a drug addict. And she ended up forgiving this man and then befriending this man. And then kind of became like sort of his family as the years went on. And she came and spoke to our class. Bro, to watch people's brains melt as they can't understand not following the instinct of vengeance and violence, but you're stuck because you can't say anything to her.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Tell her she's wrong? That she's found the way to find peace for herself? Because Coleman's being anti-violence also extended to those who had committed violence. You know what I mean? So no matter what the subject was, the Holocaust, he will tell you about the towns that peacefully resisted. I was watching a video of him yesterday going over 7 countries in the last 30 years that all overthrew their governments without violence, with strikes, with so many different ways to do it. He changed so many people. He was such an amazing guy.
That's one of the main plot lines of that show, Shrinking, I love.
I just started watching it.
Hey!
Nice.
I got to catch back up. Wait, what's one of the main storylines?
With a daughter whose mother got killed. And the main character, what's his name?
The guy.
Jimmy. His wife gets killed by
drunk drivers.
Was he drunk? Yes, he was drunk. But anyway, his wife gets killed.
Yeah,
And
that's in it from the beginning.
That's in it from the beginning, and he's raising his daughter.
Right.
And
He's angry.
Angry, but then he goes on his own journey of drugs and irresponsibility and things that have affected his daughter also. So you got mom died. I'm supposed to be the responsible parent, but because I'm hurt also, my hurt is now not being there for my child. But anyway, they, I'm not going to give it all away, but they end up befriending, and the daughter ends up getting close to the man
who did it,
who killed her mother.
Oh, wow. I did not know that's in this season or that second season?
That's second season. And they end up getting close to him, and then just that whole, and he needs them, and they need, because he's so remorseful, but they are in pain, and then they end up clicking. I ain't gonna give the whole thing away, but
it's right there.
But it's right there. It's in the show, yeah.
So I don't want to spend all day making people sad, but my heart hurt Saturday. And he was 87 years old. He died in Dominican Republic. His wife had died 3 years ago. They've been together for forever. So he died of pneumonia at 87. It happens.
Yeah.
I am sad because we don't have a lot of people who are willing to literally give up everything to teach peace. And he had to fight and struggle to teach peace. It was everyday effort to get people to let him teach a class on peace. And now,
when you say we, you mean we, us in this room, or we, us in the world?
No, we in the world.
So this this is not happening anymore or something?
Well, his program continues. It's at the places it is. But I just don't know, we can't afford to lose a lot of people who are willing to dedicate their whole life to this. Now, Coleman's whole thing was, it's easy to teach peace. All you have to do is start. Pick up the books, start reading, and start talking about it. But obviously, and I was looking through my emails with him. And in 2007, an article came out about me in the Washington City paper. And he's like, Peter, I could just read it in his voice in my head. He's like, Peter, I read the article. It's very impressive. We're all very impressed. By the way, he's very funny. Ish talker, funny. He grew up with a stammer, so it's kind of built in that he has a little bit of a when he talks. He has a gimmick, right? And watching his old clips, it's like watching him do stand-up. I know all the routines, okay? He did it in every first class. He'd do the same quiz in every first class, pull out a $100 bill, set the $100 bill down, all the kids get excited, and he goes, who's Robert E. Lee? And they raise their hand. Who's Ulysses S. Grant? They raise their hand. Who's Napoleon? They raise their hand. And then he starts saying, who's Emily Balch? Who's Jeanette Rankin? And he starts naming the great peacemakers, and nobody knows who they are. And he goes, that's because you should go back and sue your school district because we're all being ripped off with fake education. And he would go out, he has the whole thing. But this man, I forget the point I was trying to make on that specific spot. Here's
you were saying he had a routine in his whole,
so I remember the email. Thank you, Ebro. So in 2007, he wrote me. I saw the article, Washington City paper. Oh, Peter, very impressive, very impressive. You've done your Larry King thing now. It's time to do the real work and come home and teach. That's where we need you. And he was dead ass because he always thought I was a great student who was super passionate about these issues. He was like, it's time. Good run. And then I saw another email from him in 2014. And I responded, by the way. In 2014, he wrote me.
And you were like, not yet. I'm trying to get to this rap station.
I know. Exactly. I wasn't here yet. 2014. He's like, I just saw The New Yorker. Well, and he had like a different tune. Like he was now starting to believe maybe I could make an impact. But to him, really, no matter how famous or big you get talking, the real work was in teaching peace. Bascom, I gave a clip. I couldn't decide. There's so many great clips. Here is this is like during the Obama administration. Someone asked him about what should be done about the Iran missile problem.
What would you do with the Ayatollahs?
I would do exactly what we said before. If you want to have a chance for peace, don't talk to your friends, talk to your enemies. Obama, get on the airplane and fly to Kabul and go talk to them. Oh, you can't talk to evildoers. You hear that? And we demonize them. It makes it easier to kill them. Oh, they're subhumans. And so we did it with China, and it worked. We did it with Soviet Union, it worked. And that's what we ought to do. Instead, we keep demonizing each other. You remember during 1991, George Bush wanted to find out, what can I get the public to do to get behind me, that I can go invade Iraq? They did a poll, and it came back, call Saddam Hussein another Hitler. And that's what Bush called him. The next day, what Saddam Hussein called Bush? He's the great Satan. So Hitler and Satan fighting each other. They were demonizing. And so that's what, you see, very few politicians will do that. They appeal. All you have to do is say, we're being attacked. That's what Goebbels once said. And while you're telling the public we're being attacked, condemn the pacifists for being disloyal.
That last bar is what you're seeing right now. Everyone who's being a pacifist about this and simply saying I'm against war is being called disloyal. Happens every single time.
No, every time. And I'll be honest, once again, back to the algorithm thing, and he seems like a great man, by the way.
He was. Coleman, rest in peace. Go look him up and get all his books. He's got 1 million books. He's got 1 million videos. I promise you will love this man. Coleman, I loved you.
Aww.
You were the best, man.
Thank you for sharing that, Rosenberg.
Thanks for letting me share it, guys.
He brought up a good point where he was like, Obama, go talk to them. Obama did end up talking to them.
Yeah, in the end, we ended up getting an agreement there.
And there was an agreement. And they stopped enriching uranium to get towards a nuclear warhead, and they were allowing international inspections. And the sanctions got lifted, and people had a problem with that. And then Trump tore up the deal, and now we're here.
Yep. And
I missed this step in there. Trump tore up the deal, and they started enriching uranium, and they're very close to a nuclear warhead for real now.
Now they are.
Yeah.
Because the deal was torn up.
Yeah.
But what about when we did it and Trump said we had the most successful attack of all time?
Well, clearly not, because we're back again.
Congratulations.
So here's my question.
You played yourself.
Are we back again because they really, on some level, they did really enrich uranium and are getting close? Or is it because of the oil thing or both?
Well, I think
both.
Look, if you're going back because they enriched uranium, the reason they're enriching uranium is because they feel like you're trying to cut off their lifeline to the world. I don't know where we get off thinking like you could just beat someone into oblivion and they're just going to lay down and take it.
Well, this is
like you have. Well, to your professor's point, you got to go have conversations with people, man.
No, but if we demonize them all and we say they're evil, and then you turn around and become an adult and realize, well, who really is the evil one?
But
because we've been doing
that.
Our country has been doing
that. Why would you muddy the waters? I want to look like the hero.
Right.
I want to look
the
like
new
the
Hitler.
One. Yes.
Who on earth have we killed into oblivion, and there hasn't been a terroristic response towards us because of it? Where's that at?
Where there never was? No, you last a while. Depends how long you last. We lasted a while before 9/11 happened. There'd been a big gap between Pan Am 103.
A while, what's a while?
Yeah, a few years, A
few decades. Is that good enough?
2 decades.
Is that what people want? When you talk, you just brought about your guy talking about peace. Is that good enough? That's not peace, man.
But we don't
not having open lines of communication with people who are trying to conduct business to the world and take care of their constituency. Look, I know we try to run around the globe and police the globe and try to act like our way of doing things is the only way and the most righteous way, but we're liars.
Yeah.
We're liars.
We spend 55% or something of our total budget on weapons.
Yeah, but once again, we're lying to our own population, right? Which is, we're keeping peace. We're not. We're creating instability, actually, right? If you look at what we've done in South America and Central America, what has it done?
Oh, okay. I have something for you on that.
Okay. And then if we look at what we've done in the Middle East, what has it done?
Yeah, but while they're doing it, they get to tell everybody that we're policing the world and being good. Number one, we're destabilizing. Number two, we're making
for profit.
Well, that's my next step. But number two, we're making very rich these weapons companies, which is what we do, which is why we spend 20 times what our I think we spend more than our top 20 would-be enemies all spend on weapons combined, is what the United States spends.
Laura, you said
over the weekend, I sent Rosenberg a video that really hurt my heart, but my mom sent me the first one. So, Cuban doctors go to different countries to help, right? Mm-hmm. Well, because, there's their education, their medical education is beyond, right? They're very great, and there's not enough jobs in Cuba, right? So there's Cuban doctors that have been in Guatemala specifically serving the indigenous people in rural areas. They're all leaving because of the U.S.
Yep.
Now, I sent Rosenberg a video again. Remember, in Honduras, the same thing is happening because nobody wants smoke with the U.S. Meanwhile, all these vulnerable people will suffer and die.
Well, and the piece in there for the audience that may not be picking up is the reason the Cuban doctors are being kicked out by Guatemala and Honduras is because of our sanctions currently against Cuba.
That's right.
And Guatemala and Honduras are not in a financial situation to be able to tell the U.S. no.
Of course not. Of course not.
So all these places fold up and do whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
And the people don't matter. They're trying to just kiss the ring.
Yeah.
That's right.
And people will die.
And, I just keep thinking about all the things I watched Coleman say in these videos this weekend about how he's never stood for the national anthem because it's a war song. Everything we do is war. The whole thing is war. Listen to that song. I think about it every time I hear the song. The whole song is a war song.
Yep.
It's everything we are sold on is about war.
That's right.
Every time, and by the way, this isn't about the individual because, again, the simpletons will always make it about, well, you're attacking the troops. Of course not. I don't blame the actual soldiers who do what they're told to go do or need to go do it because of their situation.
Right.
But all we do is, when you go to baseball games, all they do is stand up and make you honor people who've been in combat.
Yeah.
People who have been in war. That's all we honor. How often do you go to a game and they make you stand up and take off your hat to honor teachers or nurses or first responders? It is always in how much money does the NFL get from the Army and everything? And that's not about the soldiers. It's about the complex,
the narrative
that is
the
built,
marketing.
the marketing to keep these weapon suppliers spending, us bullying. We're such a lie.
Well, and then just this weekend, and remember I told you guys to jump off ChatGPT and jump off Claude. Have you been seeing those headlines?
Off Claude too?
Well, no,
On
jump
to Claude. Okay.
Yeah, if you're interested in using AI.
Oh, no, you're talking about the Anthropic thing?
Yeah.
Did we not get to it yet on the show?
No,
Not really.
Well, I had been talking about remember last week I told you guys what Anthropic was. I had no idea it was.
But didn't you say you didn't tell the guardrails thing? Like the story about what happened actually?
Well, I told about what they represent. I did not talk about how the U.S. Department of Defense basically. Oh no, we did about blacklisting them.
Yes,
because we did. We
talked about it.
We wouldn't allow. Well, it happened this weekend.
Yeah. They went there.
They went there, but the company for OpenAI, the company that owns ChatGPT, OpenAI, was willing to jump right in the slot.
Oh, you don't say. Were they the number one Trump supporter?
Sam Altman,
the number one Trump supporters in all of tech, basically.
Yeah, Sam Altman and them jumped right in and are going to allow autonomous weapons killing without any human oversight. Meaning you can use AI weapons that are completely artificial intelligence, no human oversight, and that was the big thing for Anthropic. You have a video, Rasan? Let's see this.
And so we have said to the Department of War that we are okay with all use cases, basically 98 or 99% of the use cases they want to do, except for two. One is domestic mass surveillance. There, we're worried that things may become possible with AI that weren't possible before. So there's this way in which domestic mass surveillance is getting ahead of the law. The technology is advancing so fast that it's out of step with the law. That's case number one. Case number two is fully autonomous weapons. This is not the partially autonomous weapons that are used in Ukraine or could potentially be used in Taiwan today. This is the idea of making weapons that fire without any human involvement. But we have some concerns about them. First, the AI systems of today are nowhere near reliable enough to make fully autonomous weapons. Anyone who's worked with AI models understands that there's a basic unpredictability to them that in a purely technical way we have not solved. And there's an oversight question too. If you have a large army of drones or robots that can operate without any human oversight, where there aren't human soldiers to make the decisions about who to target, who to shoot at, that presents concerns.
See? And so Anthropic stood up to the government. Now they've been labeled a
woke. They called them a woke. Trump specifically went online and called them a woke something or other. They're woke because they don't believe in letting robots kill people without human instruction.
And you got to add something else in there.
I hate being woke like that.
I know.
Robots that aren't even
don't exist yet.
It's not even, the capabilities aren't there. So you want us to allow it to do something that doesn't exist. It sounds like our old contract at the plantation station.
Right.
You want us to show up somewhere that's not there, but commit to it in documentation. It doesn't exist, man. And we're not going to allow you to make it exist because we don't believe that it's reliable enough to not just be killing indiscriminately.
So it's just like to people who think that everything's all the same. One thing is all the same. We have never elected a government. Honestly, we've never elected a government who's not interested in killing around the world to do whatever the U.S. wants to do.
For financial gain.
And for financial gain. We've never. Not one president who we liked more than others has ever been much better in that regard. It's what we do. However, there are then degrees to which you want to be indiscriminate with your killing. They are saying we want to be able to be indiscriminate with our killing. We don't even want guardrails. You know why it is woke? Because they really want not alive people to be able to make decisions on killing.
Right.
That's how woke is, just human to them. If you're human, you're woke because they want robots to be able to decide.
Bro.
They want Terminator to happen. For real.
We are living in a Black Mirror episode every day.
And it keeps getting
every
worse.
Day.
And the craziest part is no one can even question it. And we have to be like scared to some degree because otherwise we'll get shouted down as being anti-patriotic. Just because we were stupid enough to believe what's on the paper.
Yeah, but shouting down, it doesn't really work. People have been trying to shout me down for years.
Well, you're a lucky one. Some people get shouted down.
Well, you can't give up, man. You have to know that being on the side of history that embraces humanity, embraces people from all walks of life, embraces like lifting people up and positivity is the right thing.
But I think what's important, I'm trying to learn this right now, for our own ability to thrive and continue to be able to say the things we want to say while doing what we want to do, I think it's important to lead that way.
You have to.
Leading with that. Because it's easy to get caught up in leading with the anger of like, what's wrong with you people? Why can't we just...
Yeah.
But if you do lead with, and that's why seeing a lot of Coleman stuff made me think about that. If you always lead with, no, I'm always on the side of peace. I'm always on the side. Whether it's Palestinian kids, Israeli kids, Russian kids, Ukrainian kids, I am on the side of kids don't die, bombs don't drop. If you lead that way, it's hard. People can still call you a B word if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they will. Look at Miss Rachel.
Well, of course.
The fact that Miss Rachel they was trying to shout down Miss Rachel was bananas.
It's crazy.
That's how you know people aren't well. That's how you know people aren't well.
They've made her a full-on enemy.
Yeah.
No, that's how you know
people. She doesn't want
you're
children
not
to die.
No, you're not well. There's something wrong with you.